Well, hello there, and welcome to my kitchen table. Today we're off to Denbighshire. We're actually off to Prestatyn, which is in Denbighshire, or Denbighshire, in North Wales. And it's located just on the Irish Sea to the east of Rhyl. Rhyl is a major holiday town in North Wales. Prestatyn has a population of around 19,085 and is another holiday destination in North Wales, especially for those of us in the northwest of England, because it's so easy for us to get to. There's lots of activities for all ages, from the beautiful beach and miniature railways for the young uns, and theatre and galleries for those not so young uns. Well worth a visit if you're in the area, or if you're in the UK, really easy to find. So, if you're ready, take a seat and I'll tell you a story. A 43-year-old woman was jailed for life and ordered to serve at least 30 years on the 7th of May 2013, making her one of the most prolific murderers in modern British history. I must point out that in the UK, as in most countries, the must serve section of the sentence means that that's when the inmate becomes eligible to apply for parole. That doesn't mean she'll get it. I'm going to give you a bit of an insight into the kind of woman that Mel Smith was, or Melanie Smith. And indeed, she still is. She pleaded not guilty in court to this horrific crime, even when all of the evidence pointed to her. So, let's get started. Melanie was born in the seaside town of Prestatyn in 1969. She was 17 when she married Paul Smith, and over the next few years together they had 3 children. Mr. Smith said his ex-wife resented being tied down to 3 young children and regularly mistreated them. Smith had a history of cruelty to her own children. One of Smith's daughters, Charlotte, who at this time was 23, and a mother of 1, said, "It shocked me to know what she'd done, but it's not out of character. She was cruel to us as kids, so why wouldn't she be cruel to others' kids years later on? She was a mother from hell to me, and she still is. Spending the rest of her life in prison won't come close to what she deserves." Mother of the Year award on the way, I think. Not. She stubbed cigarettes out on her baby son's forehead. She hacked her toddler daughter's blonde hair. Hacked it off. She scalded her with boiling water. And she locked her in a cupboard under the stairs as punishment. Mr. Smith said she inflicted terrible cruelty on the 3 children that they had together before abandoning them, aged 3, 2 and 9 months. Yeah, like I said, no Mother of the Year award going to her then. He said, "She destroyed my family years ago, and by setting fire to their house, she's ruined the lives of so many other people. The sentence is totally deserved, and none of us ever want to see her again. She was an appalling mother to her kids, and now she's done this to those other kids. It's horrific. That evil woman deserves to rot in hell." Self-confessed alcohol binger, Melanie Smith had a habit of making drunken threats to burn people's houses down with their children inside. Mull Crown Court was told of numerous occasions when Smith threatened to set fire to property, and how, in the 6 weeks before the fire, she stepped up her campaign of threats against Lee-Anna Shiers. In late 2007, Smith was barred from the Victoria Hotel in Prestatyn for being loud and argumentative. In April 2008, Smith and her boyfriend Stephen Clarkson were again refused service at the pub by the landlady. Smith's response was to say, "I'm gonna fucking torch this place," and storm out the door in temper. All this was all told to the courtyard in her trial. The court heard that Smith hated a woman named Samantha Schofield, who she claimed had been having an affair with her boyfriend Clarkson. She wasn't. In August 2012, Smith trashed Mr. Clarkson's car while it was parked outside Miss Schofield's house. It just happened to be in the same street. The windscreen wipers were bent back, the wing mirrors kicked out of position, and pink milkshake thrown at the windscreen. Around 20 matches were also strewn around the outside of Miss Schofield's house, and a matchbox was found under Clarkson's car. Smith has had 2 conversations with Miss Schofield's sister, Amy, in which she had said she was going to set fire to Sam's house. She told her she'd nearly set fire to the house before, but she was too drunk to light the matches. When it was pointed out to her that Miss Schofield had children living with her who had done nothing wrong, Smith replied, "I'm not finished with Sammy yet, and I can't make any promises." On the 1st of September 2012, Smith told Miss Shiers' friend Stacey Brady that she was going to make Leanne's life hell. The court heard Smith was ranting about her throwing cigarette butts around by the front door and shouted up at Miss Shiers, "I'm going to set your house on fire with you and your kids in it." On September the 5th, Miss Shiers' brother Michael called to see his sister, and she told him that when the defendant was drunk, she made threats to burn her house down, saying, "I've threatened to burn someone else's down, and I will do the same to you." The manager of the Vegas bar in Rill, Yvette Giblin, told police that on October 13th, she heard the defendant rowing with Clarkson, and she claimed Smith said in a raised voice, "You're shagging the woman upstairs. I'll burn the house down with her and the kids in it." October the 18th, 2012, Smith told her friend Pamela Handley that she was going to torch or bomb her landlord's flat and that he was not going to get any money from her rent. On the morning of October the 19th, Smith went to Chantel's hair salon, where hairdresser Sophie Griffiths noticed that she smelled of alcohol and she was complaining about her flat. She said it was too small and that she did not like her neighbours or landlord, adding, "To be honest, I wish they'd burn it to the ground because the council would have to put me up then." Alcoholic Melanie Smith was 43 when she started a devastating blaze because she was angry about a push chair that had been left in the shared hallway, and it was close to her front door. She set fire to that pushchair. Lee-Anna Shiers, her 4-year-old nephew Bailey and 2-year-old niece Skye were trapped in the upstairs flat and died in the arson attack in North Wales on October 19th, 2012. Firefighters managed to rescue Leanne's 15-month-old son Charlie and his father Liam Timbrell, who was 23. But little Charlie died the next day in Alder Hey Children's Hospital in Liverpool. He was surrounded by family. Liam sadly died in hospital 3 weeks later. The jury was told that as the fire took hold, Mr. Timbrell was heard in the background of a 999 call screaming, oh my God, we're all going to die." The jury in her murder trial heard a recording of Liam Timbrell's call to emergency services in which he said, "Help, help, Someone's put it on purpose. We're inside the flat. Mr. Timbrell, the only person from inside the flat who could give an account of the fire, later told rescuing paramedics that it was arson and it was Mel from downstairs. He was very badly burned, but became alert and awake and said, "Babies, are the babies okay?" He then added, "I heard a woman shouting in the street." He was asked by the paramedics what he meant, and he replied, "I'm going to set fire to the house. I heard a woman shouting that she was going to set fire to the house." Mr. Timbrell repeatedly said Mel did it, and told a police community officer that she was shouting through the letterbox, "I'm going to burn your house down." The officer asked if he recognised the voice, and Mr. Timbrell said yes, it was Mel from the flat downstairs. Smith claimed in court that she once had counselling for being obsessively tidy. She denied the allegations and said 21 of the prosecution witnesses, including a firefighter and a police officer, were lying and plotting against her. Yeah, that's called paranoia. Smith, who lived in the flat below the victims in Prestatyn, North Wales, was convicted of 5 counts of murder. 1 count of making threats of arson, after the jury of 7 women and 5 men reached a 10-2 majority verdicts, following 15 hours of deliberation. Smith collapsed in tears after the jury returned their verdicts. After the first one, she sobbed, "Oh my God, no," when the first verdict of murder was returned. What she should have said was, "Oh, poor me," because that's what she meant. The judge, Mr. Justice Griffith Williams, told Smith that at first it seemed unlikely that a mother with no previous convictions could set fire to a house with people in it. But after hearing the evidence, he said he was satisfied that Smith set fire to the pushchair. He said Smith was motivated by jealousy due to her faltering relationship with Stephen Clarkson, whom she accused of cheating on her with a woman called Samantha Schofield, a woman she hated. That hatred, which was all the more intense because of your drink problem, took over your life, the judge said. Smith had been increasingly angry with Miss Shiers, Lee-Anna, accusing the young mother of being noisy and an untidy neighbour, the trial was told. Witnesses said Smith had been heard complaining about Miss Shiers leaving the pram in the hallway and leaving cigarette ends around the front door area. On the night of the fire, Smith was drunk and started the blaze in a rage after hearing Lee-Anna and Liam having sex upstairs. The judge said that while her relationship with Mr. Clarkson remained uneasy, Smith took out her unhappiness on Miss Shiers, and she became the focus of your attention, he said. The court heard that Smith was a very tidy person, and she resented any mess that was made, particularly by Lee-Anna. The convenience of the pushchair in the hallway, cigarette ends dropped by the front door, and noise coming from upstairs all became an issue which grew out of all proportion. The judge said that on Friday evening Mr. Clarkson wanted little to do with the defendant and went home to sleep. Smith, who the judge said was certainly affected by alcohol, purchased a takeaway to eat alone at home. The judge told her, "My belief is that at that moment you were probably a very sad woman, and it was the sound of Lee-Anna and Liam's lovemaking from the flat above that overwhelmed you. Bitterly resentful of their happiness, you went outside and set fire to the pushchair. It follows that you acted on impulse, and so this was not a premeditated act. My belief is that you did not know that Bailey and Skye were there, but that reduces your culpability only marginally, because you were clearly indifferent to the presence of others in the flat upstairs. When, contrary to what you had intended, the fire spread to your flat, you escaped, probably by the back door, shouting at Stephen Clarkson to get him to follow you. The setting fire to the pushchair was an act of exceptional wickedness, almost unparalleled in its consequences. For those who had to hear the evidence of the 999 calls, the horror of those moments in the flat upstairs as Lee-Anna and Liam faced the awful inevitability of their imminent deaths will be forever etched on their memories. Understandably, the knowledge of the manner of their deaths has added to the overwhelming grief of their families, all the more to those who rushed to the house in the hopes that they could help. I have had regard to the contents of the 3 victim statements. Each witness wrote eloquently of the effects upon them and their families and their losses. That grief will not have been mitigated by any meaningful remorse on your part. You continue to portray yourself as a victim, blinding yourself to the sufferings of the real victims in this case, and failing to at least acknowledge that it was your deliberate act which started the fire. The victims' relatives packed the gallery and gasped, "Yes!" when the foreman announced the verdicts. Mr. Timbrell's mother, Stephanie Watson, said, "This has been a long, painful road for the families, and while nothing can ever bring back any of our children or grandchildren from this terrible tragedy, there is some comfort in knowing that justice has been done, although no sentence can ever reflect the severity of the crime." Lee-Anna's parents, Joy, 45, and Peter, who was 64, told of their relief. Mrs. Shiers said, "I am overjoyed." After the case, Lee-Anna's parents continued, "All our family are so happy at the verdicts." Her husband said, "Nothing will bring them back, but we have at least seen justice served. There is one big hole in our lives, and how do we fill that hole? It's just impossible." I've been unable to find out what prison Melanie Smith is actually being held at, but it's comforting to know that she'll be there, wherever there is, for at least 30 years. Thank you so much for allowing me to tell you this story, and thank you so much for listening. It really does mean a lot. If you found it interesting, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. It's free to do, so don't hold back. And remember, all smiles are beautiful, so smile and let your beauty shine through. I've been Sue, TTFN.